Early in my career, one of the interesting interview questions that I got was about making a virtual espresso coffee machine in any programming language that I was comfortable with. Now, with the release of Claude 3.5 Sonnet, I thought it might be a good idea to compare it side by side with ChatGPT-4o to see which one performs better. At the end of the video, I'll explain which one is faster, more reliable, and easier to use for this specific task. I'll start with a super basic prompt and I'll modify it as we go. Create an HTML page with inline JavaScript and CSS to simulate a simple espresso coffee machine. First of all, Claude is noticeably faster than ChatGPT. As you can see, it's already created the simulator, but ChatGPT is still going. Another major difference is that you can preview and interact with the HTML page in Claude because I have the artifacts enabled. At the moment, it's an experimental feature and you can enable or disable it here. In ChatGPT, you need to copy and paste the code to check it in the browser. In terms of the results, they're similar. Both came up with a nice little cup and the animation for pouring coffee, but I like the one created by Claude a bit more. It shows the state of the machine. It also has 2 buttons for single and double shots. In terms of functionality, the one created by Claude is better. Once the brewing is done, the cup indicator is back to its original state. Meanwhile, with ChatGPT, the cup stays full and it's not obvious if you brew it again. Also, it uses alerts for notifications, which are not user-friendly these days. Okay, let's move on to the second version with this prompt. The coffee machine simulator should include the following features. Buttons. 1. Power on and off. The same button turns on and off the machine. 2. Single shot. 3. Double shots. Functional requirements. It takes 5 seconds for the machine to warm up and to be ready. Only the power button will be enabled if the machine is not ready. If idle for 10 seconds, the machine turns off automatically. A single shot takes 3 seconds to finish. The double shots takes 6 seconds to finish. Again, Claude is much faster than ChatGPT, and I need to follow the same process to test ChatGPT's code by copying it into a new file. Both works as expected. This is for Claude. And this is for ChatGPT. This time, unlike before, the cup doesn't stay filled after single or double shots. Now, let's try the third version. Here's the prompt. Add the following as well. 1. A countdown in seconds to indicate the warm-up process. 2. Idle time in seconds. 3. A countdown in seconds to indicate the brewing process for single and double shots. Here's the updated version. It correctly shows the countdown for warming up or idle time. However, the idle time starts even if the machine is warming up or during the brewing process. It's a different story for ChatGPT, and it's a bit funny. The countdown is correct for warming up and brewing, but idle time is backward and eventually gets negative, as you can see. It gets to the point where it randomly changes the counter. Let's see if we can fix all these issues with a new prompt. Idle time starts only when 1. The machine is on. 2. The machine doesn't do any operations such as warming up or brewing. Okay, now it's better. As you can see, idle time only starts once the machine is ready. It keeps the idle time at 0 when it's brewing, which is good. But what about ChatGPT? It turns off the machine as expected and idle time is never negative. Now, I'm going to provide them with a new prompt to add a new component, a water tank. Here's my prompt. Add a water tank to the simulator. With a single shot, half of the water is used. With the double shots, all of the water is used. If the water tank is empty, the machine cannot make any coffee until it's filled. As always, Claude is faster and it added this nice indicator to represent the water tank. It works as expected. Whenever the water tank is empty, it disables both the single and double shot buttons. Clicking on the refill water button re-enabled them, although it resets the idle time. ChatGPT's version also works the same. The only difference is that it only added text for the water tank. But the good thing is that refilling the water doesn't reset the idle time. Next, I'm going to ask them to add a coffee bean container with this prompt. Add a bean container similar to the water tank. If the container is empty, the machine cannot make any coffee until it's filled. Also, refilling the water tank or bean container shouldn't reset the idle time. Now it's more realistic. Refilling water or beans doesn't affect the idle time in Claude's version, which is what we want. The one created by ChatGPT also works as expected. However, as before, it only used text to show the status of the coffee bean container. One more thing that I'd like to add is the maintenance of the machine with this prompt. Add a container that tracks the number of coffees the machine makes. Both single and double shots should increment the number by 1. If the number exceeds 3, turn on the maintenance light. Claude has added the counter and light. It's a bit off though, but it works as expected. It also has a perform maintenance button, which is only enabled when the machine requires maintenance. It doesn't allow me to make any coffee until it's out of the maintenance mode. With ChatGPT, first of all, it stopped generating the code at some point, so I need to ask it to continue. I think I'm pushing it to the limit. But at least it works as expected. The only difference is you can still make coffee in maintenance mode, and it doesn't give you the option to perform maintenance. In reality, for example, my coffee machine still works even if the clean me light is solid. So in this case, I probably should have been more specific with my prompt. Finally, I'm going to test the boundaries yet again. So I intentionally asked this kind of vague prompt. Please improve the design to make it more realistic. The result is interesting. Claude actually made an effort to make the design better, and it looks much better now. But there is a big problem. It doesn't work anymore. It's broken. I even copied and pasted the error again in Claude with no luck. And now the CSS is completely broken. With ChatGPT, it stopped generating the code again, so I needed to ask it to continue. But I don't see any changes in the design. At least it works the same as before. I tried one more time with Claude with the following prompt. The design is broken. Can you please fix it? It fixed the design, but it's still not functional. The good thing about Claude is that with the artifacts, for example, you can ask it to visualize a class diagram. As you can see, here are the classes, attributes, and functions. To be honest, it's pretty powerful. Even though the one created by Claude stopped working at the end, I prefer it more in this case. It was faster, less buggy, and easier to use because of the artifacts. Obviously, with ChatGPT, there were some limitations, as we saw. But let me know in the comments section below which one do you prefer, Claude 3.5 Sonnet or ChatGPT-4o. All in all, this was a fun experiment, at least for me. Hope you like it. My name is Ehsan, and I will see you in the next video.